Hello and welcome to Prog Chattery 777. Well, we've done it. We've made it all the way to the pretty much latest Van der Graaf Generator album. Technically, it is still the latest. It is the 27th today, I think. So, after the 30th, this is no longer the latest record. A Grounding in Numbers is the title, and it is a great album. I think this is the second album by the trio, and I think it's the first one where they created something that is definitely on par with the 70s albums, with the classic lineup. This is a really good album, and the band certainly does not show their age at all, not in the least. Oh, that's a nice little inner sleeve here. It sounds like a young band. They're just totally fired up and they're full of energy, and they've found their sound at this point. The trio has found their sound. They know what they want to do. They know how to play together. They've got these tight arrangements together. They're playing them really well. The songs are very short, but I mean the album has got this rapid fire change. I mean, it almost feels like the whole album is just one piece. It almost feels like it's one Lighthouse Keepers. Obviously, it's not all thematically connected that way, but I mean, just the whole thing sits together as a really good piece of music, I think. And I've got great memories of this album. I think I told the story of how first time I saw Van der Graaf, I ended up meeting the tour manager who gave me and my friend free tickets to go see the band. Well, the other funny happenstance of that, I was too young at the time to drive, and me and my friend were in Toronto just about to catch our train, and we're leaving the venue, the Opera House. This is in 2009, and all of a sudden we saw one of the roadies from the concert having a smoke outside the hotel. So we're like, oh, hey, what's going on? Fancy seeing you here. Well, a couple of seconds later, Hugh Banton comes out, and he's about to have a drink at the pub. Which was unfortunate for me because I was too young to have a drink at the pub, and we also had a train to catch. But we stuck around there for a few minutes, and I got to chat with Hugh Banton a little bit, which was really cool. It was I hope I wasn't too starstruck. Again, I was young and naive at the time. But he gave me the inside scoop that they were going to make another album. I was raving to him about how much I enjoyed Trisector and how cool it is that the band is still a band, and they're still, out there making relevant and interesting music and that. And he said, yeah, well, we're thinking about making a new album. And I think it was maybe 6 or 7 months after he told me that it was actually announced. So I always felt that I had an inside scoop. It made me feel like a real fan, a proper fan. And my buddy, who's kind of a medium fan at best, he got a bonus bit of information. But yeah. This took forever to come in the mail, and I'm really hoping that doesn't happen with Do Not Disturb as well. I got very antsy waiting for this. The anticipation was just so high, and I'd sampled a couple of songs on the internet, so I had some idea of what to expect. But yeah, let's start going through the tracks. Anyway, like I said, the album almost the songs aren't even linked together. I mean, there are still spaces between the songs, but it just feels like they're all somehow connected. Opens with Your Time Starts Now. This is, I guess it's not my favorite on the album, but it certainly is another one of their modern classics. It reminds me a little bit of The Undercover Man. Obviously, it's much shorter. This is 4 minutes, 13 seconds, it says here. It starts out with this kind of cool synthy line, I think played by Hugh Banton. It's kind of like arpeggiated notes kind of fade over top of each other, and then the guitar line comes in, and it's a really nice soft-spoken ballad that it does raise in intensity at moments, and like I said, that's why I say that there might be a link with The Undercover Man there. And there's even a flute sample that comes in at the end. Maybe that was a nod to Jackson, I don't know. But yeah, great song, great way to start the album. Classic, slow rise to madness for Van der Graaf. Brings us to track 2, Mathematics. And this is one of my favorites on the album. I think they tried playing it a couple of times, but I think that they found just the way the harmonies were, for whatever reason, it just didn't quite fit the rest of the material. And I think it's a great shame because it's a really good track. It's about, I think it's called Euler's Identity. There is a, it's about a formula, and the chorus of the song, it only goes once, is literally the formula: E to the power of I times pi plus 1 is 0. There's no snap in it, but I think rhythmically, you know? Yeah, it's really good. Really rich chords. It's funny. There's the chords remind me of the '60s, but it's not dated like the '60s. It's not like the '60s-ness that's on Aerosol Grey Machine or some of those earlier albums. Yeah, there's parts of it that are it's really good. It's short, and it's got that kind of interlocking thing going on between Banton and Hamill. Great song. This leads into Highly Strung. This is another one of those 4-chord, 3-chord wonders. Again, I think you can trace it. You could trace it all the way back to, say, Nadir's Big Chance if you wanted to get that technical. But in terms of Van der Graaf world, it's traceable to the 77-78 period. And it's really good. I think Highly Strung is better than Drop Dead from the previous album. A little bit more. I think it's a little more well arranged. It's got some trickier bits to it. It's it's not just a straight ahead rocker in that regard. There are some tricky bits to it, but it's also a great rock song. Great vocal performance, great everything. I think it was released as a single, and funnily enough, it made the charts in England or something like that, which is very funny. Then we move on to track 4, which is an instrumental, Red Baron. Kind of just some breathing space on the album, really. Like I said, it's very fast-paced. Things are changing really quickly on it as you listen through. And this is just kind of some tribal kind of sounding drum patterns and this moany synth line that kind of comes up and down. The tempo kind of rises up and down, speeds up and slows down. Nice couple of minutes of atmosphere to let you breathe. And again, it sounds like Van der Graaf. It's classic Van der Graaf sound. Then we get Bunsho, which this is definitely one of the modern classics. Again, it's never my favorite on the album, but never when listening to it, this is okay. They're gonna play this one live a lot, and they have. Great guitar song. Obviously, it's not the same thing as the 3-chord wonders. It's not the same as those faster rock songs. It is more well arranged. There's a lot of dynamics to it. But the big chorus there, I can't see my stream. That is such classic Van der Graaf. That's God Bluff like. Although obviously nothing like God Bluff because this is a grounding in numbers. This is a different album. I also like to point out, great album cover. I love that. That sense of humor is there. Again, interesting. I digress. We move on to track. This is track 6. Track 6 is Snake Oil. This is definitely my second favorite song on the album. This is a Van der Graaf epic. This is a classic 10-minute Van der Graaf song condensed to 5. There is a lot going on, and there's lots of the verses are kind of rapid fire and crazy, and there's a couple other blistering sections that kind of blast through, and the time signatures are all bizarre, and the middle section is just absolutely wicked. Let's put the teacher to the test section. Bum bum. Boom da da boom 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 down down boom down boom down boom. And again, like it's got that classic Van der Graaf sound, but unlike the last album, I feel I miss David Jackson less on this record. It's like I said, they're much more confident in playing as a trio on this record. Like I said, Snake Oil, it's got everything you'd expect out of Van der Graaf Generator. It doesn't feel like there's anything missing, and yet David Jackson is not on this album. Really like Snake Oil, and it's kind of. I think they played it they may have played it live once or twice, maybe more than that. I'm not sure. I did see them when they toured this album, and they didn't play it. I remember I was kind of sad, but it would be really hard. It would be a very tricky song to pull off, I think. But who knows? Maybe they'll play it again. I'm sure they've still got more touring left in them. Hopefully they come back to Canada, because I could certainly go for another Van der Graaf show. Then we're in the CD age. The CD keeps going, but there's a Hamill interview where he said they deliberately tried to make this a side 1, side 2 kind of an album, even though the main format was going to be CD and download. But we flip the side over, and it's a good thing they do that. The sides it does feel like that. They belong as side 1 and side 2. Anyway, the side 2 opens with Splink, the second of the instrumentals, second of 2 instrumentals on the album. And I really like it. It's a great little intro to the second side, which, again, I've been talking about how the album feels like it's all kind of linked together. It's all one piece. Much more, that is very true of the second side of the album. These songs it pretty well is seamless. It pretty well is a seamless run from Splink all the way to the last song, all over the place. And Splink is a great way to introduce it. It starts out with this kind of very major chord, splinky guitar line. It might be a slide he's playing with. I think it's a slide. I should know it's a slide. And it's very tranquil and placid and nice, and then very slowly this dissonant Hugh Banton line, ding, 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 ding. It just gradually infiltrates the stereo space, and by the end it just turns it's just dissonant, incoherent madness, classic Van der Graaf sound, and it's classic Van der Graaf sound without David Jackson, and it's awesome. I love Splink. It's a great little intro. I love the slow descent into madness that it takes. Then we move on to Embarrassing Kid. This is the second of the kind of rockier numbers. 3-chord wonder songs on this album, and I think this is better than Highly Strung. I think this is the Embarrassing Kid. I think is the best shorter song they've done, really. It's up there with Ship of Fools. Ship of Fools is always going to be my favorite of their shorter rock songs, but Embarrassing Kid is really good. Kind of it's got a really awkward timing to it, and there's a great part where Hamill does this laugh. Yeah, everybody can have a damn good laugh. What? And it's very weird, and it kind of catches you off guard almost. When I first heard it, it caught me off guard, because it seems like it's so un-Hamill, but it shows that there is that sense of humor. That there's always been a sense of humor in Van der Graaf music, even though generally it is very serious. It has that exterior of being serious, but it's all serious fun, as Peter Hamill says. So Embarrassing Kid finishes up, and we get Medusa, which it's really like it's more of a sieg than a song, I think, and that's what I'm saying. The second side and the whole album kind of is, linked together. And Medusa's, there's some lyrics in there, not very many, and they're quite oblique. And there's a reprise of the dissonant part that's in Splink. So again, that ties it all together really, really nicely. You got and it's creepy. It's the creepy, scary song about Medusa, I guess. She's a transparent kind of girl, and she says, "What you see is what you get from me." Very vague, but very awesome. And then Medusa blends seamlessly into what is definitely my favorite song on the album, Mr. Sands. Yeah, it's just so good, and it's so modern. It's definitely not classic Van der Graaf. It is the trio. I think it is so far the crowning achievement of the trio. Personally, I really, really, really like Mr. Sands, and there's a triumphantness about the sound. It's like, yes, we're here and we're doing it, and we're still a band, and we're still Van der Graaf, and we're still going to generate as much Van der Graafs as we possibly can. And I love there's a swagger to it. Oh, great, and great Hamill lyrics. Again, it's kind of like Snake Oil in that there's a lot to the song. They pack a heck of a lot into 5 minutes and 23 seconds. It is you know, this would otherwise be like a 10-minute song, but you know, it's rapid fire. It's a manic album. It's just, there's lots of changes and lots of unexpected twists and turns. And then after a big, awesome Guy Evans drum fill, back into one of the main themes of Mr. Sands, we get the sudden ending, and then a piano. Ding, 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 ding. And we get Smoke, which, again, it feels more like a sieg than a song, but it's unlike anything Van der Graaf had ever done before. It still stands very unique in the catalog, I think. It's almost a funk kind of a song. And I wonder, I didn't talk about this on the Aerosol Grey Machine, but in the liner notes to that album, when they were recording Aerosol Grey Machine, and Hugh Banton talks about this funny moment where he had a banana in one hand and was just hitting one note on a piano. I think the song is Running Back. I might be wrong. Or it might be Orthenthian Street, where he just ding, 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 ding. And I wonder if that was in any way some kind of funny reference, an in-joke of the band that they did that in Smoke, because there is just the one piano line that just kind of holds it all together. Maybe not. I might be way off base, but it's good. I really like it. And Smoke quickly siegs into 5-5-3-3, which is returning to the mathematical theme that was previously explored on Mathematics, track 2. And 5-5-3-3 is much more confusing to me. You can make a matrix pattern out of almost anything. The number is 5-5-3-3-2-2-3. I haven't researched enough to really know what he's talking about. I may have misquoted some of those lyrics too. Sorry. But it's really cool. Guy Evans actually plays guitar on that track. He does the rhythm. Ding, 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 down, 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 down. And again, it kind of carries on that funky kind of thing, and it shows what kind of band you're dealing with here. I mean, here's a band that's, you know, they were split up for 30 years. They got back together. They suffered a very dramatic lineup change, made a couple of albums afterwards, and then they're still just doing stuff that is just unprecedented. Like Van der Graaf never did funk, and Smoke and 5-5-3-3, that kind of pair is just, you know, it's a very exploratory album. I mean, they're experimenting and they're comfortable in their own skin again, and you know, they're pushing on. You know, this is a band that still looks forward, even way over on the other end of the journey. Love that. It's so much respect for that. Immense respect. And this leads to the final song on the album, All Over the Place. This is the one where I think that, yeah, this is kind of closer to the older Van der Graaf stuff. Really dark. It's got the dark lyrics. Kind of about being, you know, putting oneself all over the place and finding yourself completely lost, I guess. I read much more deeper into the lyrics when I'm actually actively listening, you know, because when you're listening, you know, the lyrics are kind of hitting you and you kind of make your interpretation as the song goes along. But I think it's quite dark in that respect. It's classic Graaf, VdGG. Love the intro too. It's got that interlocking pattern. Really great stuff. And that, again, that's very typical of the trios playing. And then the end, the big heavy riff, the heavy, scary, dark kind of riff. Fantastic stuff. And sudden ending, really good. Love it. Another Van der Graaf classic. I know they played this one live a few times. When I saw them in 2012, they only played Bunsho and Your Time Starts Now. Those are the only two songs they played off of this. And I was really hoping I'd get to hear Mr. Sands. They did play that one quite a fair bit. But again, I mean, some of these songs, they're so dense and they're so fast and there's so many changes. I mean, I think there's just probably a lot of stress was put on them to play those songs, right? So, still a great show. I mean, I was in no way disappointed. I didn't walk out of the show going, they didn't play Mr. Sands. It was, you know, my hair was all like that. They played Mergley's 3 at that show. That was the show they played Mergley's 3. Really loved that. And yeah, so that's the album. But I'm going to spend a couple of seconds here and talk about the live album that came from the touring that followed. I have this on vinyl as well, but this is the full package. It's got all the songs. The vinyl just has Flight and Lighthouse Keepers, which is notable. Excuse me. Just totally brain farted there. Notable because the tour after the main tour that followed Grounding in Numbers, they performed Flight and A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers for the first time. Really, they did Lighthouse Keepers in the 70s, but they did it in sections for a Belgian TV show. In 2013, the trio relearned it and managed to play it, and it was brilliant. They did Flight in my 2012 show. No Lighthouse Keepers, that was saved for the Europe tour. But I did see them do Flight, which is off of Peter Hamill's A Black Box album, as I'm sure you know. And it was wonderful. It was fantastic. Really suited to the trio, actually, Flight. They do a really, really good job on it. And in case you're wondering, I'm not sure if I said the title, Merlin Atmos is the album, the live album that I'm talking about. This was taken, this is 2013, so this is the European tour following Grounding in Numbers. A couple of years after that happened. They work a little slower now, which is allowed, obviously. Really like the album cover on this. But why I wanted to talk about this one, I'm not going to do a full review on it, but it's a great album. I like it a lot more than Real Time, simply because this is the band live. This is the band touring. This is them doing what they do. They're not all concerned, and they're not, you know, they're not concerned with the weight of expectation of the audience of this is our first show. This is just them on the road doing really, really wicked renditions of a lot of new songs and a lot of old songs. This is the big package. So the first disc is basically new stuff, like Flight had never been done by the band before. Lighthouse Keepers had never been done by the band before in like a touring capacity. You get Lifetime, classic from Trisector, All That Before from Trisector, great version of All That Before. You get Bunsho, which is cool, and Gog from In Camera, Peter Hamill's album. And this is that's the best version of Gog I think that you could get is on Merlin Atmos. So get it for that. And for Plague of Lighthouse Keepers and Flight. It's worth the price of admission for just those three songs alone. And then the second disc, Bonus Atmos, is you get some of the classic songs. But you also get Over the Hill and Interference Patterns. Those are the newer ones. And Your Time Starts Now. So the two songs that were regularly played from Grounding in Numbers. And you also get Scorched Earth, Merlin 3, Mannerg, and Childlike Faith. Can't have enough of that. And the sound, this is a great description of the trio sound like, of what the trio sound like. And it is different. It is not the same as Jackson. Like I said, it may lack a certain melody now without his saxophone, you know, kind of sitting in that area. But I think they make up for it in madness. And even though, well, I mean, the bass pedals are huge. You get these huge booming bass pedals you get. It's a different kind of heavy. It's a different kind of heavy from, you know, the typical heavy, I guess. And it is a different kind of madness because, like I said, the sound palette is so different. But I really like it. I think it takes a bit of getting used to, certainly. But this is a great album. If you're a fan of the band, check it out. Even if you're sad about David Jackson leaving, it's an essential Van der Graaf album. This is the official live document of modern Van der Graaf, as far as I'm concerned, because, you know, this is taken, you know, best takes of the tour. Really nice little package there too. Reminds me of Vital, the Road images. So yeah, that completes it for Van der Graaf Generator. I hope I didn't blabber on too much. I kind of did 2-in-1. There's a couple of 2-in-1s in this series, but that's it. I tried to get these done as fast as possible so I can upload them all at once. I'm going to carry on. Not sure what I'm going to do next. I think I'm going to do some Genesis next. And they're going to be much more sporadic. I wanted to start my channel off strong, so I wanted to put a whole collection of a certain band. But I'm going to carry on in some capacity or another. And like I said, some Genesis is going to be next. May not do it in order of release, but we'll see what happens. Until then, thank you for watching. Send some comments, send some likes, subscribe if you wish, if you enjoy what you're hearing. And I will see you next time. See you later.